let's go ahead and see what this actually looks like. Now, for this exercise, I want you to make sure that you're running on API level 28, whether that's your emulator or your personal device. Okay, so I have my emulator open here, and I'm running on the correct API level, so I'm going to go ahead and open up my dessert pusher. And I'm going to bake a few delicious cupcakes and some donuts. And now I want you to go ahead and put the app in the background, and this is an important step here. Now that your app's in the background, you could open up a bunch of activities that do heavy amounts of processing, and wait and sort of hope that the OS decides to shut down your app. But you don't have time for that. So to make your life easier, I'm going to simulate the same behavior, but using a command line tool called ADB. ADB stands for Android Debug Bridge, and it's a command line tool that lets you send instructions to emulators and devices, like this one, that are attached to your computer. Now because this is a command line tool, I'm going to need a terminal. And Android Studio actually provides a terminal within it, which you can open up from here, or by going over to View, Tool Windows, and then Terminal. Okay, so go ahead and try running the ADB command. What you're most likely going to see is this ADB command not found. What this means is that it's not part of your path. The first thing that you'll need to do to resolve that is to go over to Tools and open up the SDK Manager. Here is where you'll be able to find where the Android SDK that you're using is located. In this SDK folder, in another folder called Platform Tools, is where the ADB command line tool lives. The next thing you'll need to do is add that to your path, and how to do that varies by which platform that you're currently on, so I've provided the instructions below. Okay, so if you set everything up right now, when you run ADB, you should see all of this output. And now you can run the following command to stop your app's process as if it was being destroyed by the OS. What this command here does is it tells connected devices to stop the process with the dessert pusher package name. But this only actually works if your app is in the background, which is the case right now. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. And now if I go over to the recent screen, I see that my app is still here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open it up. And voila, or rather, not voila, I've lost my score. Okay, so let's go over to Logcat and see what happened. And if I scroll over, I see that it's called the callbacks as if I was restarting the app, which, as explained, is exactly what happened. Now, if you created a few different apps, you'll notice that sometimes when the system shuts down your app, it does effectively save data for you. But in this case, it seems to have lost all of your data, so what gives? When the OS restarts your app for you, Android tries its best to reset your app to the state that it had before. The Android OS takes the state of some of your views and saves them to a bundle whenever you navigate away from the activity. An example of some of the data that's automatically saved for you is the text in your edit text. As long as that edit text has an ID set, it'll save it for you. It also saves things like the backstack of your activity. When the OS restarts the app for you, it's going to use this data bundle to try to get your activity back to the same state as when you left it. Except sometimes the OS won't know all about your data. For example, in the Dessert Pusher app, you have custom variables like revenue. There's no way that the Android OS actually knows about this data or that it's important to you or your activity. So you're going to need to manually add this data to the bundle yourself. The way you do that is using another callback called onSaveInstantState, which you'll explore next.